Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Doing great. It just...
this weather.
I
hate to talk about it again in the episode.
Because it's just, I've been waiting for it.
This weather is nice.
It has put me in a renewed spirit. I feel like whenever it gets cooler outside, I feel like I get more active. I feel like I want to be outside more.
There's a freeze warning for in the morning.
Really?
Yes. 36 degrees with a freeze warning. Even though it freezes at 32,
right.
The wind can make it colder.
Yeah. Wow.
So make sure you dribble your faucets tonight.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It just is getting to that time of year where it reminds me of the holidays. It reminds me of some good times.
Right.
And we talked about this in a previous episode. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of, it feels like that time of year right now. And today specifically, going to work today, I was like, this is so nice.
It's going to be nicer in the morning.
I know. I'm super excited about it.
Almost jacket weather.
I know.
See, I'm in 30-degree weather, and I won't need a jacket.
Of course, right.
Once it gets in the 20s, I at least have to put on a jacket.
Right, of course. It's a lot of fun, and it was a good day at work. I felt productive. I helped build a desk.
Okay.
Yeah,
hopefully not from IKEA, right?
No, but I mean, it probably was about the same.
Really?
Yeah, it was nothing like
that complicated, huh?
I wouldn't say complicated, but it was a pretty big, elaborate desk. It just felt good. I like building things anyways and getting to, fiddle with stuff. And
sure.
So it was nice to help out where I could. So
speaking of helping out.
All right.
You know how I asked you if possibly Saturday you could help us unload an antique piece?
Right.
We're going down further south Louisiana, about an hour and a half to almost 2 hours away.
Right.
We found this great piece. I showed you a picture of it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And, I asked you if you could possibly show up when we're back to unload it and put it in the house and stuff. And it got me kind of thinking, Miranda and I just love antiquing.
Right.
It's a hobby that we both share.
Yep.
And I was kind of wondering, for us, you're now an engaged, almost married guy.
Yeah.
Do y'all share any hobbies? What's something y'all like to do together? Because you and I are actually gamers to a certain extent.
Yeah, right.
I don't so much anymore in my life, but I was a gamer for a while.
Right.
I know you're a gamer. Does Mallory share gaming with you? Because Miranda does not.
Really?
Yes, at all.
A little bit. Mallory has fun every now and then. But it is not one of her passions.
Okay.
I think it's more, she's more of a, what do you call it whenever people only smoke or drink around, like a social
drinker? She's a social gamer?
She's a social gamer, yeah. Whenever there's people around and we're all playing like a big party game, she'll usually get involved and is usually not bad at it, and of course is always the underdog, and it's very funny. But yeah, that's kind of what I do is like to pass the time, or just how I unwind at the end of the day a lot of times.
Now, you also like hosting.
I do.
I don't know if that's a hobby or a passion or both.
Right.
I think you both like doing that, right?
It feels like we're both on the same page in that regard, and I think it is something that we're both realizing that we love to do. It feels special. It kind of is that golden rule of like treat others how you want to be treated. And a lot of times I feel like both her and I like it when we feel like we're being treated like royalty or treated kind of bougie, if you will. And so I feel like we want to return that favor to our friends and family whenever we can. It's like, I know this makes us feel happy. And so if we can do that for you guys as well and give you a little bit of that, it feels nice.
In the late 80s and 90s, I used to do this once a month on Sunday party. Okay. And I would cook hundreds of pounds of meat.
Oh, man.
And there would be so many people over at the house.
Right.
And I really like doing that.
Yeah.
That's where I started trying my smoking process and grilling and barbecuing and putting all these neat rubs and sauces together and just trying new stuff out. And then I had this unlimited source of guinea pigs.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? And I love doing that. It was so fun to have all these people in your house and just enjoy entertaining your friends.
Right. I've always enjoyed, I always love it when people feel comfortable and safe in my home. I don't know what it is. I think it's, to be honest, it's probably something that my mom instilled in me from a long time ago, when I was a kid. But that's one thing that I've been told a handful of times, and I still appreciate hearing now. Is like, or it's a lot of times the unsaid things of like if someone just like gets comfortable on the couch and kind of dozes off and falls asleep. I'm like, that makes me feel like, makes me feel good in a certain way. That's like you feel comfortable in my home that you can do something like that, and it's not, you don't feel so uptight,
right? Or
you can't be yourself and be comfortable.
So what else do y'all share? Is there another hobby that maybe y'all share?
So I'm a big photographer and videographer. I probably have talked about this. That's kind of my career path right now in life. And Mallory has spoken up about wanting to learn more about it.
Ooh.
And so I'm in the process of I'm already about to buy some new like equipment for myself, and she was interested in like wanting to learn some about it. So that's potentially a cool new hobby that we could both be getting into, because it's fun by yourself, but sometimes having a second person to bounce ideas off of and also have like a model for some photos or to go out on adventures with is really cool. So that is I'll probably talk more about that as the show goes on, because there's more I want to talk about with that. But
there was a lady back, because of confidentiality, I won't say her name, back in the early 90s. She was a award-winning photographer, and somebody was after her and her son, and so I protected them for a while. She actually taught me a fair bit about photography. Subsequently, I've forgotten it all, but it's a really interesting field.
Right.
The cool artistry behind what you can do. I like the black and white.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to concentrate on that when I had the opportunity to learn from someone that gifted and professional. But I thought that was really neat. It's it's nice to know that she wants to learn that with you and go on that little journey. And
it's really cool. And I'm really excited about it, because that is a big passion of mine.
My big fear now is the price of a good digital camera.
Oh, yeah. And now I will say that there are some that are more reasonable, but some of the really nice ones, like I'm hopefully getting at the end of the week, fingers crossed, is some of the top-notch one. It's not the biggest of the baddest cameras, but it's definitely up there, and I'm really excited for it, because I have a gig hopefully this Friday where I could actually use it.
Okay.
So hopefully it's going to come in Thursday, and I'm going to like put it through its paces Friday. So
if you have a cheap hand-me-down that you want to sell real cheap when you get it in, let me know.
Will do. I'll consider that.
But it's nice to have hobbies.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have passions and stuff that you can be passionate about.
Right.
And then it's really fun when your partner wants to do that with you or explore it with you, or at least earnestly support you in it.
Right.
And follow through with that support and be there for you. My cooking is one of them. Miranda, when we moved in together, we had 17 grills together.
Right.
So, we don't have that many now, obviously, but it was nice to find somebody that appreciated that. And, though we don't share the gaming thing, that's okay. Yeah. I'm older and doing the family thing, and I'll slow down on it. But we love to go antiquing. And we can spend a whole Saturday with our black light flashlights.
Right.
Going to look for uranium glass.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's back in the Depression. They made have you heard of the uranium glass? Yeah. Well, our dream is to have this really creepy curio cabinet.
Oh wow.
And put black lights in it and display nothing really but cool uranium glass in there.
Wow.
It's just something. And so it's a neat little hobby that we're getting into together. And since the surgery and stuff, we're going to be getting out a little bit more.
Right.
And that's one of our goals. And we found this other piece that I asked you for help on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was just fun, to hop in the vehicle and drive for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and have breakfast and go do this so and cool. Hang out and talk and, be together.
Right. One thing that I think that I've had that has been a big passion of mine that I've kind of put on the back burner, and I'm sad about that because I want to do more with it, is my music stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just, with everything involving with music and everything involved, like all the equipment that I have and everything that I've done over the years and all the money I've made in that field and everything, it has been a big passion of mine since like my early teenage years. And that's one that I think that, like, Mallory was in like high school band and stuff like that, and had played like acoustic guitar here and there, but like we definitely have very different outlooks on like performing music in a way. And that's one thing that I feel like we may sort of have in common, but I don't think we actually share that the same view of it. Mm-hmm. I think I have a certain the only way I can put it is passion for music that is so different than all the other things I may consider interests or passions.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I have kind of let that go, it really kind of bums me out because I want to play more and I want to get back into that.
Right.
Tap into that old side of me, That's what it feels
never
like.
Too late.
Right. Yeah. I think the big thing is I just have been focusing on other things. It just with my career and with, the after the pandemic and then starting a relationship over a couple of years ago. So it's just like the past from maybe 2 or 3 years have been like this is my priority.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed about music, and my brother's talented, my mother's very talented in music. One of the things I've noticed about music is that something has to move you for it to be good.
Right.
So maybe that's what you're doing now. Maybe you're a good artist, but now life is getting ready to take you in the next direction to where now you become a soulful artist and you'll play or sing or whatever you want because you have this life experience that you can translate into music now. Does that make any sense, or do I sound ridiculous?
No. I definitely agree with it. I feel that way to a certain degree, but I feel like I've always kind of looked at music that way, with it being like, this music intrinsically for me is such an emotional thing already. But I get what you're saying though, that like this could be the start of my renaissance.
That's right. That's right. And now you have your muse. Now you have a muse.
Exactly.
She can, help you with that too. So living in the French Quarter in the 80s, it was just really amazing to go and be able to sit down in the jazz and the blues clubs and smoke a cigar and have a nice adult beverage and listen to real music being played.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disgusted with some of the music out there today when you're, available and can experience that true type of music.
Right.
And it was just amazing. Now, I'm not an artist, but I appreciate it and I understand it. And just be able to listen and feel those people play.
Yeah.
Nightly. It's just something you could tell they really wanted to do, and they were just happy to be able there and do it.
Right. I get that 100%.
Right.
I feel like I can go on for hours about music stuff because there's a guitar player that I've been listening to a whole lot of, and he's just there's just something to his playing that just it feels so good. If I can recommend one song to everybody, and if you want to, we can listen to it after the show. It is I think it's called the group is called The Big Squeeze, I think, and they covered While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles. And man, that whole group is so talented. They're all very good. It's a piano player, a bass player, a drummer, a guitarist, and a lead singer, and they are just this, really good jazzy, funky kind of group, if you will. And they do some covers, and I think they make their own music as well. But there's a point whenever they have like a little solo, and then of course they pick back up and play the rest of the song, and then of course the last maybe 2 minutes is just the band like jamming out, and I mean, and the guitar player just makes this guitar make these sounds it is just so baffling, and just the way that you can just see he just is putting his whole self into playing this song, especially with the context of the song being "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and he's just making this thing squeal. It's like it's so great, and I love things like that. That's like you can tell that there's just so much. Just power and emotion in what he's playing. It's so much more than just an instrument or just a piece of music or whatever. There's there's a whole dialogue of things happening there within that group, and then within him playing. And it's super cool, and I love it.
So, do you have any other hobbies? Because you're a Star Wars guy, right? So
yeah,
I like Star Wars. So do you have any hobbies related to that? I'm sure you're not a collector or anything, right?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a collector. Like there are some things that I have. I mean, since I've been to Disney, I bought a few things.
I know.
I've collected some stuff.
So does Mallory share that with you? Does she like Star Wars? And
I wouldn't say not nearly as much as I do, but I think that I showed her some of the best bits of the Star Wars universe, and she was like, "I can see how you can really like this." We watched The Mandalorian, like one of the newer Disney Plus shows, and she really fell in love with the show because, again, honestly, I think it was a really well made show. Even like my Star Wars side, like my Star Wars biased aside, it was still like a really well produced series.
I'm one of the few people that actually liked Star Wars and Star Trek equally.
Okay.
Because I appreciate both of them and what they have to offer.
Right.
Very few people can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Few people can do that.
Yeah, I have.
My little brother is a Star Trekkie. He's a Trekkie. That's it. Miranda and I share in the Star Trek part, but she doesn't share the Star Wars part.
Okay. So, the big thing for me is I can appreciate the love for Star Trek and like the fun that you can have with a universe like that. And I've watched the newer movies. I've watched some of the older stuff. I've watched the original television show because I have friends that are also really big into Star Trek. But for me, I think it's a really big nostalgia thing for me. I was raised off of the original trilogy VHS tapes that I like kept rewinding and just wore the hell out of.
That's right.
And then when I was in the movie theater, whenever the prequels came out, so like it's been part of my life for a long time, which is why I think I love it so much in such a way.
But it's also the start of the new wave of graphics and the way movies did things.
Oh yeah,
it was the beginning of all that. It really was.
Right.
If you think about it, that
especially
was
the 70s,
the mid to early 70s.
Yeah.
Graphics were changing and how they did them. Special effects were just changing. So what else? You got any other hobbies? Anything you like? You do fish? Do you hunt? Do you?
No, I think one of the big things that like I'm not any kind of going back to what you were talking about, having somebody that taught you something about cameras and you don't really retain a lot of the information of, is my dad was a big mechanic, and I learned a lot of stuff like secondhand through like helping him out. Now, do I know how to rebuild an engine? No, but did I help him every step of the way of rebuilding an engine? Yes.
Sure. Okay.
So like there's things that I think I intrinsically know subconsciously. I feel like if I was tested on it, I'd be like, I could probably get a C.
You could fake a C, right?
I can fake my way. I know enough to get myself in trouble probably, but not to get myself out of it. Or another thing that I always joke around about is like I know enough about cars and about mechanics and how that kind of stuff works that I can describe my problem to you probably in great detail, better than you actually need. But it usually is enough to where like you're like, oh, it is exactly this problem, and it's no longer vague anymore because I'm like, it only makes a noise when I do this, but not when I do this. And if it acts funny this way, I can do that. And you're like, okay, cool, yeah, we definitely have narrowed it down.
Right.
There's been a handful of times where I try to describe a problem like about my car to my dad or to a mechanic, and they're like, okay, I got it. Like, no need to describe it anymore because that is, you've described it in this problem in picture perfect detail. I'm like, cool. Now, can I fix it? I mean, probably not, but I know how to relay my problem to a professional. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
So how about reading? Do you like to read?
See,
that's one of the things about Miranda and I is we both like to read, and we both have these massive libraries.
Interesting.
And this piece that I showed you has a rolling ladder on it, because I was actually we probably have 5,000 book library.
Really?
Yes. And
holy cow.
It's insane. And that hobby
right
is one of the things that kind of led to other hobbies. So I was thinking possibly about contracting a cabinet builder to build a whole wall for our library.
That's so
cool. And have a nice rolling ladder on it. And the week before we found this piece, we were joking around and I says, oh man, I need a rolling ladder in my life. And it's like the universe was listening.
Yeah.
And this piece popped up for us, and we checked it out because
so cool.
I've always wanted a rolling ladder.
Yeah. I was never really great at reading, like educational wise, and I got better, but it never really was the medium for me. I think once I really got my hands on a camera and like was taking pictures of things and videoing stuff, I just fell in love with the medium of like producing video.
Because for us in this podcast arena, we're going to have to start reading and reading more, whereas our subject matter grows and people start giving us more suggestions for podcasts.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start becoming learned in what we can speak about in certain subjects. So reading is going to play into that, I think.
Yeah.
Research, maybe not, but books, research, however you do that.
A big thing that I've realized that I kind of have fallen into, but I am quickly realizing that I'm loving a whole lot is like, is storytelling.
Okay.
I have realized recently with the help of people also encouraging me that I'm pretty good at telling stories or just recounting events. And I started a campaign of, it's like a role-playing campaign, like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's set in Star Wars. And
really?
Yes, and I have
never would have guessed.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, because it's also a medium that I know well.
Sure.
But we're starting from the ground up, and we're creating a whole story with a group of friends of mine.
The only way that would surprise me more, is if somehow it was set in Canada.
There you go. I know. But this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, where I am not only a like game master, where I'm like creating a story and playing with them and like creating characters and creating backstory and trying to create a world and like trying to really tell a story and convey it to a group of people and make them feel like engaged and having fun in this space. And it has been so much fun, and I've been enjoying myself much more than I ever thought that I would. Because at first I was kind of stressed because I kind of got thrown into the position of doing this. But now that I'm really in it, I'm enjoying this so much more than I thought I would.
Well, here's my question to you. Does Mallory share that? Does she participate? Does she enjoy it? Is she kind of getting into it a little bit?
Yes, in the aspect of being a player, not the writing of the story though.
Right.
But she has,
but this hobby, the storytelling and the game master, she's participating.
Yeah. And it's really cool to see because I have some of my closest friends and my fiance that I'm able to sit here at my table with and have a fun time and just tell a story and just be just to be in another world for a while with my friends. And it just is really cool to be able to sit there and tell a story and just convey these real emotions in some sort of like fictitious way that's like super cool so far, and it has gone so well, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go though. But
and then she's participating.
Right, so. Exactly. One big thing that I wanted to talk about while we're on the subject of this is, and I got a chance to sit down with somebody and talk about this very thing.
Okay.
And he said something that rocked my world. we were talking about, because we're both in careers which people would look at and go like, how do you make money in that?
Right.
Or are creative production or creative music and like these kind of things that like people kind of wish, like it's almost dream jobs for somebody. It's like they want to be in this position. How do you get there? How do you do it? And I was having a hard time trying to come up with like, how did I get here kind of thing. And then we just started talking about it, and he said that he worked a job that was not conducive to the career that he wanted.
Okay.
So he wanted to be like a music producer. He wanted to be in the field of creating music for, you name it, just making music and being a musician. And he was like, my day job was bettering my skills at this other thing, whereas nothing that I was doing was bettering my skills at being a music producer. So then there was a point in time in my life where I decided I need to start doing jobs where I am bettering my skills at being a music producer, so therefore I can then become I can then acquire more money and be better and do a better job at being a music producer. So he was saying I did some odd jobs. I made some music for some commercial companies, and I just did some things that's not glamorous. It's not fun. But I got to sit there, and I got to work and work in this field with this software that I can make music in. And I got to make some tax write-offs for some music equipment because it technically is part of my career.
That's right.
And all these different things. And he was like, and then before you know it, I was like doing bigger and better things in that field because I was getting better. And I was also had a portfolio or a catalog of things. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I did a very similar thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at like a wholesale grocery store, stocking shelves, and I was making money. It was doing great, but I wasn't enjoying.
See, I could not see you enjoying that.
Right.
Because I know for a fact that you're not OCD.
Right.
You're actually CDO. Do you know what CDO is?
Yes.
You do?
You have told me.
Okay. Yes. And for our listeners who don't know, that's OCD in alphabetical order.
Right.
I could not see you just somebody would turn or twist, or it would just drive you absolutely
being the guy who
crazy.
Being the guys who would stock shelves,
right?
It was
it would just drive you just bonkers.
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
It was never perfect enough, and it would always frustrate me.
Yes. Sorry. Continue.
No, that's okay. You're right though. But
sorry.
That's okay. And I did that for probably a handful of years, and I worked at coffee shops and did other things that I thought was fun, and they were enjoyable, and they helped pay the bills. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But there was definitely some times where I had to be real with myself, and unlike my friend where he had this kind of aha moment where he was like, this is what I have to do. This is the right decision. For me, it was this kind of gradual process of like, is this what's best for me? Is this what's going to make me happy? Is this what's going to make the most sense financially? Or
sometimes it's not about the destination.
Right.
Sometimes it's about the journey and how you get there.
Right.
And like we were talking now about the things that you may have learned will help you create and play soulful, interesting music.
Right.
But if you take one of those things away from you, will that put you in the place that you really want to be?
Right.
So someone mentioned something to me once, and I've probably heard it before. I'm not sure they're the author of the saying, but it's still very profound. Mm-hmm. If you really enjoy what you're doing, is it really work?
Right.
And it sounds like that's where you're getting ready to go into the music and what we do here in this podcast.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's, so is this doing what you're really passionate about?
Right.
Is it a job? Even though you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Is it a job?
Right. For me, it was a point in time, probably 2014 to 17 or so, I want to say, where like I worked as a graphic designer as a video editor, as a photographer, like a media guy, media director over like a whole bunch of like this like production stuff. And I had a small team of people, and we did that, and we did it pretty well. And it was a lot of fun. And then on the side, I was doing like a photography business where I was doing like just freelance photography for some friends and family, and was making some money on the side.
Here, you've done all that, and we can't get you to get a Snapchat going for the podcast. What the heck?
So
what?
I did that for a long time, and I fell in love with it. Even though it had its ups and its downs, and it was a job, and it was unpleasant at times, I had so much fun with it. And then, just like with most things in life, things come to an end, and that's whenever I kind of transitioned into doing like working at the coffee shop and doing other freelance stuff as well, and kind of just moving on with my life. And then as I was working at the coffee shop, I realized that like I was missing some of that creative side, and I was missing some of that freedom that I had, which is what led me into the career path that I am now, which is more of the same thing as before, where I'm doing large scale video stuff. I'm doing photography stuff and shoots and editing both of them, as well as like managing websites and like all these other things that I think are creative passions that I have had in the past, and because of my history with it has got me in the places that I am now, to where I can I know my worth a little bit more, because I'm not going into this blind. I've done this before, and I can sit down and say with full confidence that like I may not be perfect, I may not be the most expensive and best person out there, but like I can get this job done well. And
keyword.
Yeah, right. And then the past maybe 2 years has been just stair stepping from there, and it's got me again where I am right now, which is a very comfortable position, making some very good money, enough to where I feel comfortable, enough to where I'm living with Mallory and myself, and I'm doing the things that I love the most, excluding music. But I mean, that could be a hobby that I could start back up really soon, because of the freedom that I have with this. And then just talk, like the whole reason why I was saying all this was because talking to the friend of mine where he was saying this, and he was like, set yourself up for the career path that you want to have. If you want to work in a different field, you want to do these other things, like find ways to work in that field, find ways to get jobs or small things, and start off and just keep working your way up. You're in the land of opportunities right now. You can be whatever you want to be. You just got to figure out how to get yourself in there and get yourself started off, and just keep working from there. And as he was saying that, it encouraged me, even though I feel like I'm already kind of at a place where, again, some people would probably be jealous of what I have. I still feel like there's other places that I want to go to, and there's more to do. And it just really kind of put things into context and perspective for me. Is like, you can make hobbies into careers. You just got to find the avenue, find the way. Just make that a reality. And so it was really cool to talk to him about that, because he's so smart, and he's just a very intelligent guy, and he's a great artist as well. So it's really cool. So having that conversation with him,
sounds like good advice.
It was for me. Hearing that, and that's why I wanted to relay it here as well. If there's anybody out there that has that same sort of situation, like because I've worked at jobs where I'm like, I just feel stuck here. I feel like
that's a terrible feeling.
I'm going through the motions. I'm just stuck in this rut, and I can't get out of it.
So how do we translate all of this into becoming a pilot?
Well,
see, because that's your
right.
Big hobby that you want is to learn how to fly a plane.
Right. A big thing for that, like, is I got to start the process of the education stuff, which is a pretty costly endeavor. So, but again, not impossible.
Not impossible.
And there are places that I can go to and things that I can do that can make that possible.
Right. Because I'm hoping that's still on the chopping block. I mean, that's on the block, right? That's what you want. You want to do that.
I do. There's
because when you get this gleam in your eye when you talk about flying a plane.
Yeah.
Almost like your music.
Yeah, because it feels like it comes from the same place. There's this. There's so many things that okay, so before I get ahead of myself, one thing that I've struggled with a lot personally is being so good at many different creative avenues, but never feeling like I have like a career path.
Okay.
So that has been like a point of contingency for me a lot, is like people go off and be welders, they go off and work in a plant, or they go work a blue collar job, or even go work somewhere at a white collar job that's high paying because they got an education. I never went to college because I was like, I was never great at school. I was great at doing things.
Right.
Building stuff, playing music, creating art, like doing these things. I have gotten better at being a student, like as I've gotten older, and like have been curious and want to learn. But in my early teenage years, I was a little shit kid, and I was like, I don't want to sit here and be told what to do. I want to go do it. So for me, that has been a big point of stress is the fact that I'm a good artist in many different mediums. But how can you make a career out of that?
Right.
How can you retire from that?
Because you and I still don't know. This podcast could take off, and that may be our career.
Right.
Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Would you be able to live with that?
I would. But it's just that it's for me, that has always been, like I said before, just something I was always a little stressed about, was the fact that I am a good artist, and I feel like I know that now.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you go from there? And like I said before, I feel like I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful in the position that I am now. But again, 10 years ago, I was kind of bummed out because I feel like, well, how's I gonna? I'm a great artist. How's I gonna put food on the table? Right. That kind of stuff was like a big thing for me. And I think it's a big hurdle for a lot of people out there. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it though.
Yes.
You just gotta believe.
That's right. And I just think when we were talking about, our lives with our spouses and things like that, it's just kind of nice, but you don't want somebody that agrees with you 100%.
Right.
Because that would just be boring as hell.
Right.
And that's one of the things I like about Miranda, and I kind of see that with you and Mal, is that it's enough to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You're showing each other something. You can look at things a little bit different. And it's just fun when you do have the things that you like to do together.
Right.
The differences kind of make it a little more interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
it's okay to disagree on something.
Sure. That's if everybody was the same, this world would be a really boring place.
Of course.
There would be no real music. There would be no real literature. There would be nothing. Everybody would like the same one thing.
Right.
And it wouldn't work. So I'm kind of thankful the way that Miranda and I have the differences that we do.
Yeah.
Because they still complement each other.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that whenever Mallory and I were first dating, she gave, I don't think she meant this as a compliment, but I took it as a compliment because it meant a lot to me, and it still does, is there was a point in time where she was showing me some new music from one of her favorite artists, and I had learned enough about her music taste. I knew what she would kind of like, and I was just like sending her, I sent her an album, like a recommendation, because we were talking about one of my favorite artists. And when she heard the album, she really fell in love with it because she was like, it's so different from what I would normally listen to, but it's also kind of in my wheelhouse anyway.
Sure.
And she was like, you always have a way of suggesting the right music or such good music. And I was like, wow, that really means a lot. And then needless to say, I think for Christmas last year, I got her the vinyl record of that album that she fell in love with.
Wow.
So, yeah. It was really cool because that was it was a really big artist of
those things are kind of fun when Miranda and I were first starting to date. And we I'm almost 60. She's, 43 or something like that.
Right.
I think I'm 58 this year. And we got a couple of years between us. But our desks are almost identical. They're antique-y.
Right.
The legs are exactly the same. The desks were the same. It was just kind of fun to go, how did you find that?
Right.
And so we put them, when we got married and moved in together,
yeah,
we put them right next to each other. And it's just so fun to walk in that room and kind of see, wow,
That's
it's
cool.
a cool story.
That is really
and
cool.
So when we do things, we found this great couch that we both liked.
Mm-hmm.
And this piece that we'll get Saturday, it's like we're almost trying to go for this whiskey cigar bar kind of a feel. And we both the deep, earthy wood, the leathers, and we really like that look. But we like it.
Right.
It's not one going, well, I like this and this is what we're going to do.
I got a video I want to show you later.
Okay. It's just like something we visualize in our head.
Right.
So as you go through these hobbies and these things that you do, we were looking at a house.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted way too much money for the house.
Right.
But we built it in our heads what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And even though there was, we could do, a couple of little different, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But we could build it in our heads and be on the same page.
Right.
And both want the same things out of the same space.
That
was
cool.
really neat.
That is really cool. I love those things like that where you really just feel like you're on the same page about a lot of things. Whether it be whether it be just small things or also like big life changes like buying a house. Like those moments make you feel closer as a couple.
Get ready. That's coming for you.
I know. I feel nervous about buying a house in this market right now. This
is not.
I got told by a professional who's a friend of mine. He was like, if you want my honest opinion, he's like, don't buy anything 2019 or newer. He's just like, just don't.
Well, this market right now with the interest rates in the 8s.
Oh yeah. Gosh, man.
You're cutting your house in half for the note.
It's crazy.
So you need to get it back down into the 3s or 4s. I don't know if we'll ever see the 3% interest rate again. We might get back down into the 4s.
Right.
But where it is now, you're losing so much house just to pay it.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. There are so many hobbies that I feel like I have. There are so many creative endeavors, and I've said that phrase numerous times in my life. I have so many different creative endeavors that I'm doing. Sometimes I don't know which one to pick. And I know that Mallory wants to start painting. And I'm nervous that if I start painting and I start to fall in love with it, I'm like, shit, now I'm in deep now. So I mean, I don't know. I know X-Man is a very good painter.
I have 2 pieces of his work.
I know you
They're insane. I love them.
Right.
And one of them, I didn't commission him to make, but when I saw it, I really liked it. But one of them, I asked him to make.
Right.
And he nailed it.
That's so cool, man.
And he could tell by some of the things that I described of the piece that I got what he was doing.
That's so cool.
I could see things that most people wouldn't see.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with the piece, and I think he was impressed with the fact that I got it.
Right.
So
I love that. Oh, man, it's something so special. I understand why artists, a lot of times, artists and musicians don't want to put a meaning on something because they want you to feel something from it.
Right.
And I get that wholeheartedly, but sometimes there's nothing that makes me happier in a way than when people really get it and really understand. It's like, man, that is so cool.
That's the same with my food.
Oh, yeah.
Same with my food. That's my big hobby is cooking.
Right.
And if you're trying to do something and there's a brief moment where you have a few people sitting at your table.
Right.
And everybody's talking and talking and talking, and all of a sudden the talking just kind of stops.
Yeah.
And all you hear is the tink of the fork and knife on the plate, and that silence comes in, and you know you did it.
Yeah.
You did it right.
Right.
And that's just one of the best feelings in the world. And it's kind of, I would assume it would be the same in music, or the same in art, the same in anything else.
The biggest compliment that I've gotten in music is this is not a bash on the other musician in question ever. And I could tell that that's what this person meant, or this kind of group of people had said at different times during the night. They had said, like, he played well. He did a great job. But there was something about whenever you came on the stage and started playing, it made me feel something.
Okay.
It made me feel a certain way. And I really connected with it. And I was like, man, that almost brought me to tears hearing that from like a handful of people. And I was like, that's the whole point. At least in that context that I was playing that music, was like, I want this to be like an atmospheric, emotional time, this contemplative place where you can just relax and just feel the music. And like when I heard that, I was like, man, that's exactly what I'm going for. Right. And I love it. And that's what and it makes me feel so special to hear that. So and I guess that's why when I say, like when I said at the top of this episode, that I feel sad because I haven't been in that space. I haven't been in that area. I haven't rekindled that fire in a while, and I just know that like I think it's eating at me that I need to just play music. And this is the same thing. This is the same thing that X-Man told me, gosh, probably about a month ago or so. He was like, sometimes there is, or at least this is what he says for art. And again, X-Man can come on the show and he can correct me if I'm saying this wrong or if I'm speaking out of turn. But he told me recently, he was like, sometimes there's just there's something inside of you that just feels like it's bubbling up. It just got to like, there's a piece of art. There's something like that you just got to get it out of you and put it on a canvas. You just got to paint it and just let it be what it is and just get it out of you. And he did that recently with one of his pieces, and he said it just felt like I just needed to make this.
Birth to it.
Right? Yeah, it has to just come out of me, and it felt like I was about to explode. And I just put it on canvas, and I made it. Spent like a month or so working on it, and he's like, and there it is. And I was like, wow. And I could tell it was a very beautiful piece of art. I was like, that is wonderful. And I was like, and I've never felt like that in like a painting medium, because obviously that's not how I express my art. But like I have felt that way when it comes to music, or when it comes to like photography stuff, or just graphic design stuff. Like those are all mediums like I know well. Right. And then I've had this same sensation where I'm like, I haven't been able to play music in a while, or I just haven't played music in a while. And I just had that same sensation of like, I gotta get it out. I gotta play. I gotta go out there and just
like a big poo.
Well, I'm just musically constipated. Can I just say that?
There you go. Well, you do. You need to find an outlet for that. You do need to get it out.
Right.
Because it obviously makes you happy. So you need to find that. You need to be able to do that. That's just going to be important.
So if there is some takeaways from this episode, you can do it. Just got to find your avenue and just get out there and just
do it.
Just get it out.
And remember, if you really enjoy what you're doing, it's not really work.
Right. There are aspects. What I will say about that, I do agree with that. There are some days that really remind you that sometimes your job is still a job, and it's uncomfortable and it's not fun.
Hey, a bad day fishing's always better than a good day working.
But even though it's like that, it's like what I had said. I mean, gosh, I can't. It was probably like a handful of episodes ago. Sometimes you got to take the good days with the bad days. If you're doing what you love, yes, it's going to probably not feel like it's working at all. But just know that there's also going to be bad days out there that just makes it feel like work, and it makes it suck. But just know that that's not always what it is. It can get better. You can have good days. You can have bad days. I think a lot of it is also just how you make it.
The only constant in the universe is there's always change.
Right. Is it Murphy's Law? Anything can go wrong will go wrong. So don't worry. Trust me, it'll go wrong at some point, but you can always try and fix it. It's fine.
And the favorite in Louisiana is, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes.
It'll change.
It'll change.
Yeah. I love it.
It was 90 yesterday and
40s
today.
Don't even remind me, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, this was a fun episode. I feel like I really enjoyed talking about this.
And the listeners, if y'all are out there, hit us up. Let us know what your hobbies are.
Yeah.
And tell us the dynamic with you and your significant other.
Right.
Do they share that hobby? Do they support you and encourage you in that hobby? Or do they make fun of you in that hobby? Because that's a thing too.
To be honest, I didn't even think about the low-hanging fruit sitting right here in front of us. Is like this podcast it started, like for me it started like right as the pandemic happened, of like wanting to do something fun and creative with my really good friend Dylan. And again, it kind of started into something new, and then of course jokingly, you, me, and X-Man had talked about making something, and then it has now branched off into this wonderful thing that it is.
Right.
So,
worldwide.
Exactly.
Worldwide. That's right.
And over a year.
Yes.
Which is crazy. So, what a fun time it is. Like Stoney was saying, if you're looking to get in touch with us, you can contact us at Facebook /Retrospect Pod, or you can just go to Linktree /Retrospect Pod to all the links that we have, all the different platforms you can reach out to us on and listen to us and all that stuff. But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Peace.